Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again. And I thought we'd do something a little special for you guys right now because I have a movie coming out for you, which should be out soon. Maybe, I don't know. If YouTube is okay, maybe it'll be great. Hopefully you guys like it. All my animal lovers out there will like it. So it's for not doing a lot of casual geographic episodes lately. So but on that note, uh, I wanted to find out more about into across the Spider Verse because man, this movie got me so damn excited this morning. So I wanted to do more, and who better to give us more information than heavy spoilers? I know you were expecting new rock stars, but come on, heavy spoilers is really where it's at. Seriously. Uh, I want to find out more about what Miguel O'Hara is up to in this movie. I want to know what's up with Miles' situation and what is the Spot really doing in this movie because I feel like he's going to have a little bit more of a presence. I remember the only time I've ever seen him was in the Spider-Man TV show.
Hey, I hate to interrupt, but are you planning on stealing that really big pile of money there?
Yes, rather.
And how exactly were you planning on doing that, Mr.
Call me the Spot. And I was planning on doing this.
Like in one episode, and I think he dies, and it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know why I'm so interested in seeing the Spot, but I am. I really am. And I swear, and now that I've been watching the trailer a little bit, I've been seeing a lot more of the Easter eggs that I missed on the first viewing. And maybe heavy spoilers would be able to answer who the hell that Misty Knight Spider-Man is. So please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And let's do this thing, y'all.
Okay, so Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has just seen its second trailer drop online,
Yes.
and throughout this video, we're going to be breaking down the new look, all the Easter eggs in it, and also giving our thoughts and theories on what's going on. Touted as being Miles versus every Spider-Man, the upcoming film is the first in a two-part storyline, centered
Okay,
around the
so-
events that are kick-starting this film.
That was another thing I should have asked the question of. I don't know. I just get so excited I forget. But yeah, that's another thing. It's a part one, part two. So yeah, I could see how this episode is this part one is already shaping out. Because I feel like a whole bunch of crazy stuff is going to happen in the next one. This one is just look like it's set up for the next one, and it feels that way.
Now, the first Spider-Verse movie all had the heroes returning home due to them glitching out Miles' universe. However, we saw Spider-Man 2099 in the post-credits scene, and he brought with him a new device that stabilized one's multiversal travel. This can be seen on everyone's wrist, and I'm guessing that Miles might weaponize these at some point to stop the Spider-Man chasing after him. 2099 seems like he's actually going to be an antagonist in this movie, and it's a far cry from how he's depicted in the comics. It's likely because of him that all of the Spider-Men have been pulled together. However, it's very much his way or the highway.
I still think he's going to be the good guy, Maybe though, I feel like this whole thing probably stressed him out. And you know what really stressed him the hell out was interacting with Spider-Man 1964. It's like, well, what the? I'm Spider-Man. Dude, that post-credit scene, one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Now, in case you don't know, his real name's Miguel O'Hara, and he's half Irish and half Mexican. Coming from the futuristic city Nueva York, the character made his way up the ranks of the Alchemax Corporation, which controlled most of the city. You might recognize this from the first film as being what Kingpin used to create the multiversal portal, and they're probably going to be a big threat in every universe. Working as a scientist for them, he was pressured into running an experiment on himself, which would imprint genetic codes onto humans. His DNA was spliced with that of a spider's, and it gives him the powers that we see him having here. We don't really find out his full plan in the teaser, but due to Miles and Gwen even possibly going against him, I think I have a fair idea. It is possible that they need Miles' father to die, and in this happening, it'll create this version of Spider-Man.
What? They already had somebody die, though. What are they forgetting? Uncle Aaron? It's literally his uncle. What is this?
He does give it on to Tom Holland's version in the teaser and talks about how he already messed up everything, so I'm guessing that this was because he wanted to save the villains. That caused a lot of everything.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. I was like, that's funny. They really did reference their universe from the Marvel universe. That's so funny. That's so great.
So I'm guessing that this was because he wanted to save the villains. That caused a lot of problems in that film, and Miles wanting to save his father could very much be a repeat of that. In saving someone, you alter the course of history, create a Nexus event, and then this spreads off and fractures into other timelines. So I'm guessing that this is what's at stake here, and we've seen from the other trailers that he's very much focused on his daughter Raella. He wants to save her no matter the cost, and thus he's willing to put others in danger to make sure that she stays alive. Now his daughter's name is actually a nod to the greater universe, and Riley was Aunt May's maiden name, which was adopted by Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly was a clone of Peter Parker, and he took her maiden name along with his uncle's first name.
Yeah, and Ben Reilly is in this trailer too. That's when in the actual trailer reaction I went, oh, because if he's in here, that makes everything a hell of a lot more interesting.
Riley is going to be popping up in the movie too, and we'll talk later on about how we see him in the trailer. Yeah. Either way, 2099's clearly the leader of all the other Spider-Men, and I'm going to be trying to break down all the ones that pop up in this new look. Just pray for me. Now, we do know from the plot synopsis that these have been charged with guarding the very existence of the multiverse, and I think that they bring a lot with them for this film. Anyway, that takes us into the trailer itself, so smash the thumbs up button before we get into it. Please subscribe, and yeah, let's go, baby.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man. And things are going great.
Oh yeah, you were supposed to be here at 5.
Alright, whatever.
Whatever?
Wow.
Whatever?
So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian?
I am the Spot. That's not funny.
Don't do that.
Miles's grades are pretty good. A in AP Physics.
That's my little man.
And a B in Spanish.
What?
Ooh, okay.
Miles.
Are you trying
Mira, eso es imposible.
I gotta go. Alright, bye.
He's lying to you.
Now, that first trailer opened with Miles sat on his roof, which is where he was joined by his mother. She was talking about how the boy that she knew is no longer there, and in this new look, they sort of build upon that. They show that though Miles enjoys being Spider-Man, he clearly finds it difficult juggling the two sides of his life. They're all about trying to have a normal life, but they also have to balance that alongside being Spider-Man. They also have to protect the ones closest to them, and in order to do this, they have to stay distant from the people they love. Every Spider-Person has watched someone they love die in front of them, and thus cutting people off is the easiest way to go about it. Now, the trailer begins with Miles swinging outside of Vision's Academy, which was the school that he got a scholarship to in the first movie. On the ground, we catch a big shout out to me, and we can see a bus going by that says the spoiler. Guessing that this is actually just giving away a big plot point in the movie where the bus is going, so they might have covered it up. However, it might also be a nod to the Marvel character Spoiler, who has enhanced strength and durability and can also knock a trailer breakdown out in about 2 minutes. Shabow! Now, there's also a Red X van beside this, which is obviously playing on FedEx. This is showing how the world differentiates from ours. We see him rushing through the school corridor, and you might notice that he's looking slightly older than he was the last time. Yeah. He then swings through New York, and we can catch several Puerto Rico flags. Miles is half Puerto Rican as well, and it's nice just getting these nods in the environment. He saves a taxi from crushing some people, and this is sort of ripping on when Amazing Spider.
Even though, again, I emphasize a lot, he was Dominican in the comics, so I don't know why they changed that. Because even though I'm not Dominican, you know, I mean, hey, they got to get represented too, you know?
Spider-Man stopped it from happening in his movies. However, doing all this stuff on top of everything else has kind of cut into his social life, and we see him arriving at what I think is a birthday party late. Might not be because it looks like everyone's there. It might be a block party. I don't know, and I'm sure someone right now in the comments is yelling at me, so if that's you, thanks for the correction. Now, he doesn't seem that bothered because he's got more stuff on his mind, which is definitely getting to his parents. At this point, we cut to the Spot, and though he's been downplayed in a lot of marketing for the movie, it has been said that he's going to be a big villain that spans both films. Though the first movie dealt with Kingpin, we need a multiversal threat, and it has been confirmed that he's going to be a villain behind this and the third film. Now, in the comics, he was called Jonathan Owen, and he was a highly decorated graduate of MIT that was even roommates with Quentin Beck. A divorced dad, he started working for the Kingpin, and he was tasked with discovering how the cloak's powers worked. In case you don't know, the cloak can basically create portals within himself, and the Kingpin wanted to duplicate this power for his own personal gains. Due to his origin story, he may be linked in with the first film, and we might learn potentially that he
might be
helped
him right
Kingpin
there.
build the Collider. Either way, a big theory time for that did in his research after
love
creating a
this
portal
spot.
one night. However, what he didn't plan on happening was that he'd be sucked into it, and this is where he entered the Cloakstock dimension. Here he started to master the realm, and he looked about at the other portals for the place that he'd just come from. After walking through the landscape, he managed to return home, but he discovered that the portals had attached themselves to him.
Right.
Turned out that when he was in the Dark Dimension, the portals had attached themselves to his skin like leeches, and they'd basically made him into a walking wormhole. In the comics, he is pretty much a joke character that's not really the big bad, which they are kind of bringing across in this new look. However, he does possess extremely dangerous powers, and this could be unleashed on the multiverse, which causes lots of problems in it. From an animation point of view, there's lots of fun things they can do with him, and just watching that bread fall out of his stomach, it really shows you how goofy he is. However, yeah, like I said, very dangerous. So yeah, keep an eye out for him because the guy's going to cause some trouble. We see that Miles lifts his mask up to eat, and this is also something that Spider-Man does throughout the saga. You know, you've seen it before. Get away from her. Now, Miles tackling this spot also causes more trouble in his life, as we see that he's late to his parents' meeting. They call it Parents' Evening in the UK. Don't know what they call it in America, but if you've been on one of the wrong side of these, you know you can get in a lot of trouble. Now, you might notice that Miles has got a BLM badge on his bag, and to make matters worse, he's not learned Spanish. He's failing it, and his mother is not very happy. He's clearly siding with his dad, and this is paid off later on when he's also very focused on saving his life. This spot interrupts once more, and he has to leave the meeting early, again, to go off and save the world.
What's up, danger?
Miles! Want to get out of here?
Oh, when? So wait a minute. There's an elite crew with all the best spider people in it?
Who's the new guy?
This is unbelievable.
This is the lobby.
Miguel O'Hara. The whole thing was his idea.
What's a guy got to do to join this spider team?
I love this.
be part of this.
Don't even
So
get me started
excited.
on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999-99.
Come on, go easy on the kid. He had a terrible teacher.
Peter,
Miles!
you have a baby?
I have a baby. I'll take it from here.
Now, at this point, we once more
Spider-Girl.
visit Miles' room, which has been in every single trailer. I've broken it down lots of times, but in case you haven't seen those videos, which I know you haven't because you don't like this channel, then we're going to be going through it again. So Miles is actually wearing a basketball jersey with the number 42 on it, and 42 was a number that constantly appeared in the first movie. It brings a lot with it, as not only is this the meaning of everything, but it's also the number that Jackie Robinson wore. Jackie was the first black athlete to play Major League Baseball, and the first movie had this number throughout this as a nod to him. By his head, we can also catch the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15, which was the first appearance of your boy Spider-Man. Now, Gwen calls out to him, and we can see that she's wearing a pink jacket, whereas in the first look she wasn't. We can also catch that he's pinned up some bus tickets on the wall, and this was the one that he wrote in the first film with Peter B. Now, Gwen looking down through a hexagonal portal has a very important meaning with it, as these are what the heroes travel throughout this trailer. Hexagonal portals have popped up throughout a lot of the MCU, and primarily they're used as jump points in space. Here though, they'll be used to go through the multiverse, and it'll allow us to see lots of different realities and also characters. You might also notice that every Spider-Man and woman has a device on their wrist, and this will allow them to travel through the portals, using them more as tracks to get to predetermined worlds. This will stop them from just shooting across the multiverse, and it's a similar device to what Tony developed in Avengers Endgame, with it acting like a GPS. Now, from this point, we catch Issa Rae's version of Spider-Woman, and she's going to be a big character in the movie too. She looks down at the bump, almost seeming depressed. We've all been there, don't tell the wife. And but she's clearly thinking, I have this great power and now this great responsibility. Now, in case you don't know, Spider-Woman, real name Jessica Drew, she's a massive character in the Spider-Man universe, and she's featured in a number of major stories like...
How did I now I'm pissed. Now I'm pissed. I'm like, how did I not see that was Spider-Woman? She literally has the mask. Damn.
Like Secret Invasion and more. Introduced in 1978, she was created because Stan Lee was worried that another comic book company would try and make their own character that would be called Spider-Woman. Now, this may not be her, as it does look slightly different, and we do see later on that there's a comic book accurate Spider-Woman.
Oh.
Either way, though, Drew was originally only meant to be in a Marvel spotlight, but she became so popular that they decided to use her in more. Given a series with her, Marv Wolfman went over her backstory and he changed things up from what was originally established. Spider-Woman was meant to be a spider that transformed into a woman, but this was pretty goofy, so they retconned it so that these were just memories implanted by Hydra. She has all the typical spider powers that you'd expect, but she also brings with her energy blasts too. The one we see here has a motorbike as well, and though she can shoot webs out of her hands, they might have done this because she's not going to be swinging. Now, when she was shown last time, everyone kicked off, but it's important to bear in mind that there have been several redos of her. Her current origin story is that her mother was hit by a radiation beam when she was pregnant, and this contained multiple spider genes that gave her her powers. Although she's become one of the more prominent characters in the Marvel Universe, she did actually see a decline when she was first launched. She was killed off originally in her 50th issue, but Bendis brought her back for his new Avengers. Since then, the character's gone on to be a big player, and though we don't get a classic design in Issa, we do see it in the trailer itself. Now, the next Spider-Man that we see is Spider-Punk, and we know that he'll be voiced by Daniel Kaluuya. First debuting back in Amazing Spider-Man 10 from 2015, he was originally riffing on Spider UK. The character hails from Earth 138, and we discovered in that he was a homeless teenager named Hobart Brown. He was transformed due to some Oscorp toxic waste, and he became the Spider-Punk that we see here. Known as a rocker, he carries a guitar with him everywhere, and he's even used this to beat up Norman Osborn. In the Spider-Verse comic storyline, he was brought in by Superior Spider-Man, and he's probably going to be a big addition to the film. Now, though we get his classic look here, we can also see a Spider-Man later on holding a guitar, and I think this might be a variation of the character. We know from the Funkos that this will be the main one though, but yeah, that's just a theory time for what I noticed in the trailer. Now, from this, we jump across to another Spider-Man and see Spider-Man India popping up too.
There he is.
Pavita Parakbar, which apologies I've pronounced that wrong. His family ditched life in their village to move to Mumbai after he gained a scholarship at one of the schools. This is similar to Miles in the first movie, and the kids there made fun of him because of his poorer upbringing. He encountered an ancient yogi who gave him spider powers, but he initially just used them for his own gain. His defining moment happened when he ignored someone being attacked by muggers, and he returned to the scene later to find that his uncle had been killed. He jumped in to stop them, and had Spider-Man India intervened, then this never would have happened. From this point onwards, he decided to use his abilities for good, and it's awesome seeing him popping up in the trailers. Indian cinema's been on fire the last couple of years. There's been so many good movies released that it's nice seeing them also getting their own version of Spider-Man on the big screen. Now, from here we cut to the lobby, which I'm guessing is an access point, and it's something that we saw in the first trailer. I know that seems like it's a more packed shot, but it's pretty much just in line with what we get here, with them all piled on top of each other. Now, we start off with the PS4 one, and right next to him is the bulletproof suit, which also pops up as a skin in that game. However, this may also be the one from the What If storyline, in which Peter stayed with the Venom symbiote. Now, to the left of that, we have a fatter armored Spider-Man, and to the left of him is a character wearing the armor suit. Again, from the PS4 game, and I'm pretty sure that all three of these popped up in the Spider Cave during the first film. The new game is also releasing later on this year, and it will be building off the back of the first one, which I think I've now bought 3 times.
See you, chump.
In that, Peter was in the midst of his career, and the game started off with him taking down the Kingpin. He also helped his Aunt May out at Beast, who was running it alongside her partner Martin Lee. Now, he was revealed to be Mr. Negative, who basically hated Norman Osborn and always hit the thumbs down button. Negative attempted to stop Norman Osborn's re-election as mayor, and he attacked an event which Miles' father was killed at. Later on, Miles was bitten by a genetically engineered spider, and the Peter of that universe ended up becoming his mentor. And we kind of get that feeling in this moment too, with him chatting along and just looking after that little spider kid. Now, to the left of them, we can also catch Spider-Woman, and then the rubber suit which was used to fight Electro. Alongside this is the golden and red one that was used in Civil War, and this is what Tony gave Peter after he joined the Pro-Registration Act. We then catch a sort of cyberpunk Spider-Woman, and this is Lady Spider from Earth 803. Maybelle Riley actually built the harness and the arms herself, and she joined the Multiverse Spider Army at one point in the comics. She's on a laptop with a larger Spider-Man, and then to the left of them we can catch Spider-Cop. This is someone who appeared in the comics, and in those he was an NYPD veteran that was recruited to help out the Spider-Verse storyline. Just to the top left, we can also catch a Spider-Man with no sleeves and gloves on, and this is a character that also pops up on top of the train. I actually think that this is the Mangaverse Peter, who is the last ninja of the Spider Clan. His sensei Ben was killed by Venom, and hopefully we see him busting out some cool things in the film. Now, the train brings a lot with it too, and alongside that classic looking Spider-Woman, we can also catch Cyborg Spider-Woman. We have the lady one again, and what also looks like a sexy Santa helper. Just don't tell the wife. There's also one wearing grey sweater, and again this could be riffing on the PS4 game. As you pull further out, we can catch Werewolf Spider-Man, and also lots of other different Spider-Women. We can also see the bombastic Bagman, or rather the amazing Bagman. When Spider-Man was separated from the symbiote in the Baxter building, he ended up having to wear this, and to cover his face, he put a bag over his head. This has been used in a number of different games as a bonus skin, and they even have a sort of 60s pop art style animation when the character walks along. We also have what may or may not be Spider-Man Unlimited from the mid-90s series, as his costume seems to have been brought across into lots of the background characters. Now at this point Miguel drops in, and you might also notice that he's fighting a certain character. This is actually the Vulture, and you might remember that he appeared for a split second in the last teaser. He's been specifically designed to look like a Renaissance painting. He carries an Italian accent, and the character will be voiced by Joe Mattacone. The guy is actually Italian, so he'll not be doing his best "let's go" to show how Italian he is, and I'm guessing that this is a cool action scene to introduce 2099. We see him toss one of the wrist devices to Gwen, and also the Spider-Men walking along looking at theirs. This is why I'm taking it these are needed to travel the multiverse, and I'm guessing that Miles will strip the characters of these to stop them from chasing him down. Now it's clear that Miles wants to join him and the rest of the group, but Miguel shuts this down and mentions Doctor Strange. He talks about the Spider-Man from Earth 19999, whatever it is. It should be 616, but then the comics is that, so it's very confusing. And it's clear that he doesn't think Miles is going to be a good asset. On the back of this shot, you might also notice that there's a Spider-Man who seems to be being held midair. Now this might be a prisoner and theory time, but perhaps this is a nexus being that they need in order to access the other realities, and this could be what's going on here. Big reach on that, but yeah, just weird seeing him at the back.
That actually looks like Spider-Man's costume. That looks like Miguel O'Hara's 2099. I'm sorry, Miguel O'Hara's other costume. That's what it looks like. At least it looks like that in from the games.
Tensions broken up by Peter B. Parker, who will be returning, and we know from what he's wearing and what happens that him and MJ did get back together. Concept art was leaked early on, and this showed Mayday Parker, who makes a big impression as she enters the scene. She's inherited her father's spider powers, and though Miguel's cringing, she thought this was a really cool addition to the teaser. It's always good seeing my guy back, and even though he shows up late in the trailer like his rent payment, he's probably going to end up being one of the big players in the movie. Peter B. Parker was of course Miles' mentor, and though he seems to be on 2099's side, I can see him switching once the movie gets further into things.
Miles, being Spider-Man is a sacrifice.
You have a choice between saving one person and saving every world.
Send me home. I can't do that.
I can do both! Spider-Man, always.
Not always.
What about Uncle Ben?
If not for Uncle Ben, most of us wouldn't be here.
Can't stop me now! You can't run forever, kid!
I can't lose one more friend.
Miguel, this isn't what we talked about!
You knew?
I have no idea what you're doing!
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
All stations, stop Spider-Man!
Yeah, there he is.
And then I looked at my uncle and...
Let me guess. He died?
Now from this point we cut to Miles running through the city and also get a shot of Gwen. In the first film we learned that in her universe that it was Peter who died, and we see this playing out here. Interestingly, they do sort of change things up, and in that original flashback he had lizard scales, whereas here he looks normal. Because of that, we all thought that he was the lizard, but here they seem to have changed it up and just made him a normal guy.
Maybe it's
and because he died, that means her father didn't, and we know that we're going to be meeting Captain Stacy in this movie. Voiced by...
One epic night. Godsmack and Stained.
Voiced by Shea Wiggum, he died in the 616, but he's going to be returning here, making me think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of this world. Now, this idea of sacrifice is also brought across to Miles, and he's given a choice of saving one person or saving the multiverse. Because of the way that his father's shot, I'm guessing that this is going to be him, and it's going to weigh heavily on Miles' shoulders. 2099 clearly doesn't want him to be able to go back and do this, and this is why I think they're trying to hold Miles in place. But they do kind of mislead us in the trailer a bit, and you can tell that where his father falls is a different world to the world that we see next.
Yeah.
This looks more like the Spider-Man India universe, and I'm guessing that they've just stitched these two shots together. And from this point we get Spider-Bite, who we also know will be appearing in the film as well. Though she looks different from the comics, this has been confirmed by the Funkos, and in case you don't know, she comes from a world that's basically Ready Player One. This is a universe where most people live in cyberspace, and they use their avatars to interact with others. Spider-Bite stops cybercrime, and she does this for the community so everyone can have a good game. You see her switching about from one place to the other. She's typing on a computer, and therefore I'm guessing it's her. Might not be though, but yeah, let me know below. Now from here we get a moment in which 2099 is cut with the Spot, and this makes me think that he might actually be possessing the character. We catch him in the Dark Dimension with several portals around him, and though this isn't part of his skill set, it might be a place where he can reach out to other realities. Miles seems shocked, almost like he realizes this is the case, and this could potentially be him stopping Miguel from being taken over by the character. Now either way, he asks to be sent home, and we can also see behind Miguel that his help is there from the first movie. He then rushes through Mumbai and goes to save Gwen before we cut to Peter B. Parker, who's looking very remorseful. I'm guessing that he's also realized that Miles' father has to die, and unfortunately it's a sacrifice that all the characters have to go through. Though Miles lost his Uncle Aaron in the first movie, they clearly demand more blood, and this is going to be a very heart-wrenching story. He races across the multiverse, and from this point we get several action shots in which the characters chase him. Nice little moment amongst this, and you might notice that Mayday Parker also has her own Spider-Man mask. Might belong to Peter, but yeah, either way he's using it to cover her head as they ride on top of the train. At this point we get a moment that riffs on the first film, and we can see Miles charging up, likely before he electrocutes 2099. And from here, Miguel puts out a warning to the rest of the multiverse, and he commands all the other Spider people to come and get Miles. During this we catch the Scarlet Spider, and as I mentioned before, this is Ben Reilly. An often overlooked character, he has been kind of ostracized, but he originates from the Clone Saga that dominated the 90s. During that time, publishers were replacing their main heroes with other versions, and just in the same way that Batman was replaced by John Paul Valley, Peter Parker was pushed out too. Created by the Jackal using Peter's DNA, it was thought that the clone died alongside his creator all the way back in the 70s. However, it turned out that he survived this, and realizing that he was a clone, he decided to live in exile. Using his uncle's first name and Aunt May's maiden name, he was inspired to become his own person that was sort of like a drifter moving from town to town helping people. His spider sensei did several police investigations, and he fell in love with a woman called Janine, who too was on the run. Being racked with guilt, she ended her own life, and Ben became a janitor at Portland High School. He saved a woman from some home invaders and was once more inspired to use his great powers to take on great responsibilities. Eventually he went back to New York and he confronted Peter, who helped him get through some of his bad times. He worked alongside Spider-Man as the Scarlet Spider, and eventually he became the main one after Peter stepped back. He seemed to discover that he was the clone and not Ben, and at this point it almost drove him insane. This was of course all eventually revealed to be untrue, and Peter took the role back as the main one in the universe. I've always loved his costume design though, and the animation style that they use here really harkens back to how it was in the 90s. That was far more gritty and grimy, and yeah, it's great seeing how good the suit looks here. Now from here we cut back to all the Spider-Men and can see the Ultimate Spider-Man one and also the PS4 one. They all get a message like Order 66, and this tells them to go after Miles Morales. From here they all do the pointing meme, yeah, very good. And we can even catch one hanging from the ceiling by his fingertips like Andrew Garfield did in No Way Home. Just nice seeing this meme referenced again. I love it, and I think there's also a Samurai Spider-Man at the back. Judging by the logo on the back of this one, I think this also might be the 90s animated version, but let me know below if it's not, and if you spot any others here. Either way, it all leads to a big chase that ends in a therapist's office, and I love how they have a Rorschach test on the wall that looks exactly like a spider. Really nice bit of attention to detail here, and they burst through the wall, making me say, oh yeah. Now amongst these, the one that stands out the most is the horse Spider-Man, which we can see at the front wearing the red mask. The first film obviously introduced Peter Porker, aka Spider-Pig, and it's nice that his powers extend to other animals. Anyway, that concludes the trailer. What a brilliant time it was. Not to make a breakdown for, that was the worst time of my life. It's the trailer. What a brilliant time it was. Not to make a breakdown for, that was the worst time of my life. But yeah, as for a first look, this looks absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you can tell that I'm really excited, and it feels like the next couple of months are going to be really big when it comes to comic book movies and shows. We of course have Secret Invasion, Blue Beetle, this, The Flash, and also Guardians of the Galaxy. The week has been filled with trailers, and every one of them has done a fantastic job of getting me on board with what's coming. The first movie was one of my favorite Spider-Man films ever. It looks like they're upping the ante on every level here to bring us what's likely going to be another classic. I really can't wait, and I hope you've enjoyed our breakdown on the new look.
No, I know what he's talking about, man. I am so excited for this movie. I cannot wait to see this. But yeah, now I'm really even more excited, if that was even possible. Now I know exactly what the hell is coming in, and I wish I knew how people find out this information, but hey, I guess I got to read more. So. Thanks for joining me, so please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And I'll see you on the next video.